South Sudan's leadership is now not following parts of a 2018 peace deal. Now the United States is threatening to impose more sanctions on those perpetuating the conflict. Joining me now is Simon Deng, a Sudanese human rights activist who is very familiar with what's happening there. Simon, glad to have you here on Roland Martin Unfiltered. I reached out to my man, Joe Madison. He passed me your name. So much attention has been on the Ukraine and what's happening there. Explain to our listeners and viewers what is happening in South Sudan. What's going on? Is Simon, is he frozen? Folks, is his signal frozen? All right, y'all let me know we have Simon back.
I don't hear the voice.
There you go, Simon, there you go. You're there, go ahead.
I hear you, but I don't hear.
Can you hear me, Simon? Simon, can you hear me?
Yes, I do hear you, Ron.
Okay, you can hear me now?
Yes.
Good. So explain to our folks watching and listening what's happening in South Sudan.
Roland, what happened in Southern Sudan is a disaster that the international community and the world in large turn a blind eye at the country that being created by the United States. In other words, Southern Sudan is the only country in East Africa that was created by the United States of America. If it wasn't the United States, we would not have a country, a younger nation in the world today that called Southern Sudan. After 2 years of independence, the president of Southern Sudan, Salva Kiir Mayardit, took the country into the war that worse than the war we fought with the North. In 2 years' time, Salva Kiir managed to slaughter 500,000 Southern Sudanese. Today, at the moment we're speaking, Southern Sudan is the worst place on earth, with 6 million Southern Sudanese are refugees, largest and biggest refugees compared at the time when we were fighting for war of independence. You have 2 million Southern Sudanese refugees in Uganda. You have 2.5 million went back to Sudan at the moment we're speaking. And millions between Ethiopia, Kenya, Central African Republic, and Congo. We have hundreds of thousands Southern Sudanese are being protected for 8 years by the United Nations Protection Peacekeeper inside Southern Sudan, including Juba, Malacan, Wow, Jungle, even Bantu. It never happened in the history of the world where people are being protected in their own country by United Nations, and it happened in Southern Sudan. What are we talking about today? We're talking about Ukraine. Yes, the suffering of every human being, it is a concern of all of us. Southern Sudan, it is worse than Syria. It is worse than the Ukraine when we're talking about. This is the magnitude of the crime being created by the sitting presidents, and the world turned a blind eye. And by the way, I have a living proof of being part of advocates who was fighting and making Americans get involved to help Southern Sudanese to bring peace between the North and the South. I know for sure the United States have a moral obligations of a country they created. If it wasn't them, we would not have a country called Southern Sudan today. Probably if we were being left in the hand of the North, we will be better off. 500,000 that perished in 2 years under Salva Kiir Mayardit, it would be alive. Imagine when you have 2.5 million Southern Sudanese went back to the North, a place where they ran away for brutalization of Islamization and Arabization. Then now they went back. It is a better place for them today instead of being under the brutality of President Salva Kiir. That is what is happening in Southern Sudan. today.
Obviously, it should pain you that you're seeing so much attention being paid to Ukraine, folks raising money, offering scholarships for students there as well. What do you want Americans, African Americans, the international community, what are you telling them that they should be doing for the people in South Sudan?
Brother Roland, if it wasn't the United States, we would not have a Southern Sudan today. And especially the African American. We have brothers who was part of helping Southern Sudanese. They're still with us, people like Joe Madison's and the others. Even including in New York here, we have people like Al Sharpton who went with us to liberate the slavery in Southern Sudan, from the hand of the North back to Southern Sudan. We have more we can do. As I said before, the world today went to rescue Ukraine. Yes, I personally, I am volunteer to do something to help the Ukrainian. But why nobody is volunteer to do something for me? Knowing that the refugees of Ukraine today will not be compared to the refugees in Southern Sudan. The killing of Ukraine today, it will not be compared to killing in Southern Sudan. In other words, we have to urge the United States, including the President Biden, Salva Kiir have to be whole accountable. You cannot replace 7 million, 6 million, kill 500,000. And then you are now trying to call yourself a legitimate president. People of Southern Sudan, they suffer in the hand of the Southern Sudanese government, in the hand of Salva Kiir, more than suffering that they were under the North.
Questions from my panel. Michael, I'm going to take you first.
All right. Thanks, Brother Simon, for coming on and sharing this information with us. You know, this is really, it's really important to cover this because there's so much coverage on Ukraine, and there's so much devastation happening on the continent of Africa also that doesn't get covered. Can you just talk briefly about how the U.S. helped create South Sudan? We know South Sudan split from Sudan. Okay.
Yes.
Can you just talk briefly about that history? Because a lot of people don't know about this.
You know, when I came to this country, I come purposely to come to people of America. Indeed, we did got help from the capitals, and especially under the times of President Bush, in which I met 2 times in the White House, in which he assured me, seeing the Northern Sudanese blame the slavery on the war, we are going to make peace. And indeed, he kept his promise. He kept everything he told to me, in which the United States Congress passed the Sudan Peace Act, passed by the Senate, signed into law by the President of the United States, in which the President of the United States designated a former Senator John Danforth to go to Africa to forge the peace between the Northern Sudanese and the Southern Sudanese. Late Colin Powell was part of the party who was pushed that peace, and that peace was being produced in Naivasha and Nairobi, which become known in Sudan as a comprehensive peace agreement. United States, because for him to have peace, they put $11 billion. These are the taxpayers, in which that they have a responsibility. And I call it today, Southern Sudan is an American baby. And indeed, as I said, because I was there, if it was not the United States, we would not have Southern Sudan. After the independence, what happened? The U.S. walked away. Unfortunately, it happened during the administration of President Barack Obama, which is very unfortunately. We have people like Susan Wright. They were there. She was there with me in Juba. I was one of the people who received her when he went there during the independence, in which that he met eloquent speech during the independence. But what happened after that? They wash their hands, they walk away, and then turn the country in the hands of people who don't know how to balance the books, to run the country without accountability. The $11 billion, we just give them to appoint the President Kiir with part of his administration They went and stolen $4 billion, disappeared in the hands of individuals. And the U.S., you telling me that they should not hold people accountable by stealing the money that was given not to them, for the people of Southern Sudan, to do the infrastructure, to rehabilitate people who suffer for 20, 25 years. Nobody hold them accountable. And unfortunately, Barack Obama let people of Southern Sudan down.
I'm going to go to Kelly next. Simon, I think the light in your office went out.
Yeah, let me turn it on.
Yeah, go ahead and turn it back on. So, but Kelly, go ahead. But when Simon comes back, be sure to ask your question. So I just want to make sure that we're all good here. So just give us 1 second.
Right.
Simon comes back. Again, folks, critically important information that we're getting, because all too often in the United States, there literally is no coverage of these issues. Yes. And all too often, again, if it's, let's just be honest, if it's a white country, all of a sudden it's of America's concern. And so it is important that we shine the light on this. That's what Claude Barnett's Negro Associated Press did back in the day with their news service, and that's why it's important that our voices do the same. And so I thank Joe Madison for sending Simon my way. So there we go, Simon, you're there. Kelly, go ahead and ask your question of Simon.
Yes, thank you for coming on the show. This entire situation mirrors very closely, at least to me, yet another example of failed nation building on behalf of the U.S. So with that said, do you think that this crisis is America's fault in total? Or did America just exacerbate an issue that was already bubbling underneath the surface, so to speak? And in either situation, whether you think, this country is completely at fault or whether we just contributed to the crisis, what steps need to be taken on behalf of this country to make sure that South Sudan is made as whole as possible?
And I have to give you my honest opinions and the honest answer. Yes, indeed. The United States created Southern Sudan, in which they should have whole Southern Sudan to a point where they will be able to walk by themselves. They will be able to even to know how to balance the books by themselves. But unfortunately, the United States put itself or herself in a position of delivering a baby and hand it to the mom and walk away without even knowing what kind of situation will emerge during after the birth. United States, as I said, for all those years, when atrocity being committed, we are talking 8 years now. All they have to do, always threat, talk. I don't believe in talk. I believe in walk to walk. The way we did walk and create broad peace between the North and the South, the United States would have done that in a very simple way, by holding those rulers of Southern Sudan. Hey, you didn't come here by yourself. You came here with our help. And we help you not because of you, we help because of people of Southern Sudan. In other words, all these leaders of Southern Sudan, so-called rulers, each person of them have a big mansion in Nairobi, have a big mansion in Kampala. And people like John Fanegas, George Cooney, they document all these things, but no action being taken on the top of the country, on the leadership of people who created Southern Sudan. They documented what atrocity being committed. They documented how much the resources being looted by the president. And then when they always trying to take action, what will they do? sanctions just the doorkeepers, sanction the bodyguard. Why not sanctioning President Kiir himself? The man that happened to be part of the problem, he created a war in 2013 by calling it that there is a coup, which was not. The African Union made a commission led by the former president of Nigeria, Obasanjo. The result was there to everybody's eyes. There was no coup. It was Salva Kiir himself created a problem to divest that because some of his leaders in his own party was holding him to telling that, no, we are going to go for elections, then you will not be elected. And that's all. But he want to stay in power. And then who paid the price? 500,000 died, was killed by him. The slaughter, which is being identified by the United Nations as a genocide. In 2013, when the unit under the President Kiir bodyguard went and slaughtered one ethnic groups, Nuer in Juba, door by door. Up to today, we have those who run, who escape, that are being protected by the United Nations in Juba. Where did we ever hear that there are citizens being protected by a foreign country in their own country because they are afraid of their own government? Salva Kiir, it is not a leader of people of Southern Sudan. Salva Kiir is the leader of the tribe. Salva Kiir even went beyond by turning on my ethnic group, the Shulu kingdoms, taking our land and giving it to the Deng tribes, which today the entire Shulu kingdom, the oldest kingdom in Sudan and Southern Sudan. We are now in the Northern Sudan. There is no single one, especially in my entire family, in Southern Sudan. We are in the North. In the North, in a situation where you cannot even look at yourself as a human being. Because we are not being considered as citizens, we are refugees, we have not being employed. Southern Sudanese kids, our nieces, selling their body in the street in Khartoum because of Salva Kiir. These men, I'm begging the U.S. have to look in their conscience and hold these men accountable of the crime that he committed on innocent people that he denied the dividend of peace. We brought the independence of that country. We fought for that country for independence. After we got the independence, what will happen? Salva Kiir become the most master person on earth. He is ruling. I think he took the page from Joseph Stalin by manipulating international. He deceived the U.S., he deceived the UN, he deceived African Union, and even he deceived the IGAD. At the moment we're speaking, he will sign peace and he will not implement peace. He will sign another peace, he will not implement peace. To a point he went where even the Pope called him. And Pope went and washed his feet and kissed his feet to go back and implement the peace agreement. What did he do? He went back and he talked about this agreement. It is not a Bible. This agreement, it is not a Quran, cannot be implemented. It's very complicated. Why nobody asking him? What you see today, and you didn't see that at the time when you signed peace agreement. Your team was there to ratify that agreement, and now you're turning on us. This is the third time. The third agreement, Salva Kiir is refused. And we're looking at him, my fellow human being.
Right.
There is no peace will be to the people of Southern Sudan as long as that man is sitting on them.
Well, Simon, we're going to continue to keep our focus on this issue. I can assure you of that. I was a participant in a African-American media roundtable a couple of days ago with United States senators. Joe Madison was very specific in asking and challenging those senators with regards to what's happening in South Sudan, what's happening in Ethiopia, what's happening in Cameroon as well. And so I assure you we're going to continue doing that. We thank you for your involvement.
Before you leave, I want to say something.
Go ahead.
You know, there is a double standard in the world. When the crime happens in the black country in the continent, we don't see because they're so far away. They are black, we will not see them. If elsewhere, we will be there, unfortunately. But I'm appealing to my brothers and sisters. Please, the world become very smaller. I, as Simon, as a former slave, I never thought I would be talking to you today. But I'm blessed That's why I'm here as the voice of those who have no voice at home. Thank you.
Simon, I appreciate it. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, brother.
Black Star Network is here.
Hold no punches.
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?